Okay, so now I've actually just got started on part two, because they were just, the first two rows are just straightforward rows of back loop double crochet. So obviously I started with my normal double crochet, edge stitch, a chain, and then, like I said, it's the back loop double crochets along. So I have done a row in C3 and a row in C4. So we're now get ready to start. What you probably noticed as well is I've added a little stitch marker here. Now, to just explain a little bit about the stitch repeats on Flora's Fauna, the overall stitch repeat, so for like the widest items are going to be the hedgehogs, the squirrels, and the owls, and those patterns all have a 48 stitch repeat. But you'll probably have noticed when you were doing the ladybirds last time, they were only 16. So that means that you get 1, 2, 3 ladybirds for every hedgehog. So what I've just done is I've popped a little marker, if you can see. I've taken, so you've got the 1, 2, 3 ladybirds, and where you had this little sort of tree leafy idea in between, I've just followed that up and I've just popped a marker in there. So that is going to be where the last stitch of our first repeat of part 2 goes. Okay, so I've done that there, then I've counted another 1, 2, 3 ladybirds and done the same thing there. So you don't have to do that, but you might just find that will just help you keep a track of where you are when you're doing the next pattern. Okay, so and before I start again, now just to confuse you even more, although the hedgehog pattern is actually 48 stitches, you should notice if you look at the chart that there are actually 2 snails for every hedgehog. So all we're going to have to do now is make sure that every second repeat of the, when we're doing the snails, actually ends there. It'll all make sense when we now get going. Okay, so we're now ready to start row 3 of part 2. So as always, I'm going to start with a slip knot on a hook, or I mean this is probably, say, probably not a real slip knot, but however you do it, to make sure you've got a loop and a knot on your hook. Okay, so and then we start, so it's the same for every single row. Start with a standing double crochet in that first stitch, then a chain, and then we're going to miss this chain, and we now got one sort of extra little stitch before we start the main repeat, and for row 3 that is going to be a front loop treble in there. Okay, so and then make sure we miss this first stitch behind there, and then the repeat actually starts with 2 more front loop trebles, so we're going to write 2 more front loop trebles, 2. Okay, so now what you'll see is we've got the square brackets again, and if you remember from what I said on part 1, when you see the square brackets, whatever is inside them you repeat however many times it says directly afterwards. So it's a nice simple little one. We've just got 1 back loop double crochet and 1 front loop treble. Okay, and we don't do that twice. So again, make sure you're only working into this back loop, not under both of them, like so. So 1 back loop double crochet and 1 front loop treble. So that's our little square bracket sorted. And now we've got a nice little run of 11 back loop double crochets. So again, making sure that we miss, I miss this stitch behind the treble, and we've got 11 double crochets just into that back loop. 3, 10, 11, and as I've said before, when you've got a run like that, it's always worth just double checking that you've actually got the right number, because it can be quite easy to sort of not really pay attention and have the wrong number of stitches. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yep, 11 back loop double crochets. So now we've done that, we've got the square brackets again, which is another front loop treble, back loop double crochet, and we're going to do that twice. Front, back. Okay, and now we end this first repeat of the where the snails are going to be with 3 front loop trebles. So we're now halfway through our first sort of main pattern repeat, so halfway to our first marker, and where this last stitch you've worked, there we are, that should now line up, if you can see, line up there with this little gap between the antennae on our second ladybird. So you know you've got the right number of stitches there. So just go through that repeat once more. So we're going to start again. So we've finished with 3 front loop trebles, and remember our repeat starts with 2 front loop trebles, so that gives us that little run of 5 in a row. Okay, and then we've got 1 back, 1 front, twice, so 1 back, 1 front. There we go, and then 11 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 9, 10, I need some more yarn, 11, and we'll just double check that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Brilliant. Okay, so now we've got 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double twice, 1, 1, and finally we have got 3 front loop trebles, so 1, 2, and yet we know we're right because the third one is going to be directly below, we're working directly below that marked stitch. Fabulous. So what we can now do is just take this marker out of there and move it up to there. So now that way you can just keep a track of where you are. So you're going to have 2 snails to each repeat. Okay, so just carry along however wide your piece is until you get to the end there. And I will just see you when you get to the end, just a little reminder what we do when we finish a row. Okay, so I've now just got to the end of my final repeat there, and I've just got my final 2 stitches remaining. So as always, that is 1 chain. Then we miss this chain here, and remember to work our edge stitch, which is the double crochet under both loops in that last stitch, and then fasten off. Okay, so I won't be showing you that again for the end of the rows, but that's just to show you, say, how we finish it off. Okay, so we're now set up the pattern for our snails. Okay, so the snails are done with C4, which for my forest colourway is this lovely sort of mottled sandstone colour. And so we'll just get started there with my slip knot, standing double crochet, chain, and then on this row, before we start, you know you're going to have to do back loop double crochets here because there's nothing else you can do when you see a treble from the previous row. So, but to follow the written pattern, before the repeat starts, we start with 1 back loop double crochet. Okay, so now the main repeat starts with 6 more back loop double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then we've got 2 front loop trebles here, so This is like the snail's sort of tail end. Okay, then we've got 5 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the head end we've got 4 front loop trebles. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we've got a run of 7 back loop double crochets at the end of that first repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that takes us now, like we said, to the middle of the ladybirds, between the ladybirds' antennae, right in the middle of our little cluster of 5 trebles there. So we now start the next repeat with 6 more back loop double crochet. So what you'll see is we're just basically working back loop double crochets all over this little section here. Okay, that's where sort of tufts of grass are going to be between the snails. So now we've got 2 front loop trebles, 1, 2, then 5 back loop double crochets. So this is where the snail shell is going to settle in. 4, 5, and then we've got 4 front loop trebles for the head of the snail. Well, it's kind of his neck really, but you know what I mean. That end. And then our second snail, the second repeat of our little row of snails ends as we did before with the 7 back loop double crochets, and that should then take us nicely to our marker. 3, oh no, 4, 5, 6, 7. So just move that marker up so we can keep a track of it, and basically, as before, repeat that along, and I will see you ready to do row 5. Okay, so that's row 4 complete, and I've just got started on row 5 with my edge stitch, chain, and the first front loop treble 2 rows down. That goes before the main repeat starts. So now we're going to start our repeat with some square brackets, which means we've got to do this twice now. So 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble, we're going to do twice. So back, front. Okay, now we've got 4 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this takes us to the snail's shell, so we're going to get that started with 5 front loop trebles, which we're going to just slot in there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then we've got 6 back loop double crochets, so I'll go over the top of these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've got 2 more, so 5. That's our 6 back loop double crochets, like so, and then we're going to end the repeat. We've got 1 front loop treble, and then we end the repeat now with a back and a front twice. So 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble, and do that again. So back, front. So that's our first little snail repeat done. Just taking us halfway to our first marker, so we'll just do the next one together again. So we start the next repeat with 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble, twice, back, front, then we've got 4 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5 trebles, 1, 2, 5, 6 back loop double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6, and then we're going to end that repeat again with, got a front loop treble, then 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble twice, 1, so back, and yeah, we know we're right because we've got our marker there again. We're just going to pop that in front of, so obviously move that marker up and just carry on along. So there we are, that's what your row 5 is going to look like. So okay, so we're ready to go now on row 6. So I've started as usual the edge stitch, the chain, and that little extra stitch before the main repeat starts, which in this case is a back loop double crochet. So we're now going to start the repeat with 5 more back loop double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 1 front loop treble, 9 back loop double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9. So that's now sort of centered over our 5 trebles from the previous row. And then we've got for the snail's head, we've got another 4 front loop trebles there. 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to end the repeat with 5 back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's our first little repeat of the snails. So we're now going to remember we start the next repeat with 6, no you don't, with 5 back loop double crochets. I can't count. We had 6 in total there, didn't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, which is 1 plus 5. So yeah, you've now got another 5 there, so you're going to have a little run, a 10 of 10 back loop double crochets together. So yeah, this is now like the first time really, now we're doing the snails where we're not actually, they're not symmetrical, so it won't, like when we were doing the ladybirds, everything that you did on one side of the ladybird was mirrored on the other, but that's not obviously the same with snails because they've got a head end and a tail end. Okay, so just carry on repeating that across and I will see you ready to do row 7. Okay, so now just got started on row 7 here as usual, and our first little stitch before the repeat there is front loop treble. So now, ooh, drop it. Let's get started with the repeat. So we have 1 back loop double crochet in there, then 1 front loop treble, okay, then 2 back loop double crochets, 1, 2, 1 front loop treble, 1 back loop double. So now we're working on the snail shell again. So we have 3 front loop trebles there, okay, then 2 back loop double crochets, 1, 2, and then 4 front loop trebles, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how the little snail shell fits on there. Now we've got 4 back loop double crochets that go above the snail's head. 2, 3, 4, then 1 front loop treble, 3 back loop doubles, 2, 3, and we're going to end our little repeat there with 1 front loop treble. Okay, so that's it. You can see the snail now starting to take shape. So yeah, just repeat that across as we've been doing, and I will see you for row 8. Okay, so I've now just got started on row 8 with my edge stitch chain and the back loop double crochet before the main repeat starts. So we're now going to start our repeat with 5 more back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, which now takes us right above that first front loop treble we did on row 6, and we're going to work another treble into that. Okay, so now we have got 3 back loop double crochets, 1 front loop treble into there, and 5 back loop double crochets, 1, 2, 3. So that's sort of creating that little spiral bit in the middle of the snail shell. Okay, so now we have got 1 front loop treble, and then 1 back loop double crochet and another front loop treble. So we now created the little sort of antenna on the top of the snail's head there. So then we end that repeat now with 6 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that puts us right on the top of that sort of central blade of grass there. Okay, so just continue repeating that however many times you need to get to the end of your row 8, and I will see you for row 9. Okay, row 9. So I've just obviously started there. I've got that first front loop treble before the main repeat starts. So for row 9, we're now going to start with 4 back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to pop a front loop treble on top of this one from row 7. There, so that's like the sort of outline of the snail there. So we've now got 1 back, then 3 front loop trebles, 1, oh I'm losing my, there we go, 1, 2, 3, then we've got 3 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, and 3 more front loop trebles there. 3. Okay. Then we've got 1 back loop double crochet and 1 front loop treble. We're going to do that twice. So that's 1, then 1 back, 1 front. That's 2. So now we've got, to end or repeat, we've got 4 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and finally 1 front loop treble into that. That's that sort of central blade of grass there. Okay, so there we are. So just repeat that. Of course, you can really start to see the little snail taking shape now. We've just got a little bit more to do of his shell. And yeah, repeat that across and I'll see you for row 10. Okay, so I've just now got started on row 10. And this is actually going to be our last row where we are doing a 24 stitch repeat. After this, we actually, it changes in between these sort of snails to the ones at the end. So yeah, we've got, after this row, we're going to be going to a 48 stitch repeat, which is where our little markers that we've put in will come into their row. Okay, so we start after the initial back loop double crochet before the main repeat. The main repeat now starts, it's quite a simple one really. We've got 5 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got the 1 front loop treble, which is carrying that line up there. Then we have 9 back loop double crochets across the top of the shell, 3, 4, 8, 9, 1 front loop treble into there. Okay, and then we end the repeat with 8 back loop double crochets. 2, 7, so 8 takes us on top of that central blade of grass, and then we're just going to start again with 5 back loop double crochet. So what you'll find is that you've got like a little run of 13 there. Okay, so carry on repeating that across and I will see you for row 11. Okay, so now I can really see the snails taking shape now. We're just going to complete the last little cream bits of his shell there now. And as I said, on this row we're now going to be switching to a 48 stitch repeat, so that'll just be slightly different in the middle here to start with. Okay, so I've got started with my first front loop treble there before the main repeat. So now the repeat starts, 4 back loop double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 1 front loop treble. Then we've got 3 back loop doubles, 2, 3, and then we've got our 5 trebles there. 1, 2, 4, 5, then 3 back loop double crochets and a 1 front loop treble there. Okay, now we've got 11 back loop double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So as you can see, what we've now done at the beginning, we had our front loop treble, as we have been all the way along on our C3 rows so far, but we're not doing it here in the middle of the repeat. So that's the only thing that's changed. So the actual snail bit here is going to be there, it's going to be exactly the same as it was there. We're just in between where you haven't got a marker in your central blade of grass, you then won't be working into it, so that's the difference. Okay. And then we end with 6 back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this time we are going to work our front loop treble there. Okay, so I'll just move that marker up in a minute, but so that's how it works. That is our full repeat now. So as I Okay, so I've just now started on row 13 with my initial front loop treble before the main repeat starts. And all we're going to be doing basically this time is we're going to have our front loop trebles sort of the start and the end of the row and in our marked stitches there, and also just finishing off framing around the snail. So it's quite a nice straightforward row again. So I'll just take you through that first repeat anyway. So we start that repeat with 6 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, oops, caught up, 4, 5, 6, then you've got 1 front loop treble, 7 back loop double crochets across the top of the snail there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 1 front loop treble there. Then we have got 15 back loop double crochets, so you're going to basically be going all the way along till we get to the snail shell again. 14, 15, oh hold on, I've gone through too many loops there, 15, 1 front loop treble, 7 back loop doubles, 7, 1 front loop treble, then we've got 8 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, and we're going to finish up with a front loop treble where you've got that marker at the end in that central treble there, and obviously then I'll move the marker up. So there we go, so that is now your repeat on this row. Okay, so that's now the snails all completed. And we're now just about to start on the actual hedgehogs. So to start with, we're going to just basically do the little sort of frame where their feet are going to go. So it's nice and straightforward really. So I've already started with this front loop treble 2 rows down just before the repeat starts, and the repeat actually starts with a long run of back loop double crochets, 16 of them in fact. So just do that. So 2, 16. I'm just going to double check that is how many I've got. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Lovely. So now we've got the first foot we're going to do. So that's 1 front loop treble, 6 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 front loop treble. Then we've got 4 back loop double crochets between his little feet, 2, 3, 4, then 1 front loop treble, and 6 back again for his back foot. One, 5, 6, 1 front loop treble, and then we're going to end the repeat. We've got 11 back loop double crochets, and then there'll just be that 1 front loop treble again. So 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, oops, 10, 11, and then we've got our front loop treble at the end of the repeat. That goes in there. So again, I'll move that marker up in a second. So yeah, just repeat that across now. So and then I will see you actually to do row 16. So we'll be filling these little feet, and then it'll be a little bit more obvious where the hedgehog is. Okay, so I've actually got started on row 16 as it's a really straightforward beginning. So we had obviously the usual edge stitch chain, and then 1 double crochet, back loop double crochet before the repeat started, and then the repeat just starts with 18 back loop double crochets. So I've done those already, and that now takes us just over, if you can see, so we've got that first front loop treble from that first foot there, and 1 more stitch, and we're now going to just basically fill in the rest of this little section here with 5 front loop trebles, and that is that first little hedgehog foot. 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you've got 7 back loop double crochets, which takes us over this little bit here. Oh, sorry, everything's falling off my desk. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 5 front loop trebles again. 4, 5. Okay, so then our repeat ends with 13 back loop double crochets. So the 13th one will take you to your marked stitch, and then remember you start the next repeat with 18 more back loop double crochets. So all we're doing is just fill in these little feet here. So you've got your 5 trebles at the sort of end of the little 6 stitches there. Then you're going to end up with 18 plus 13, which is 31 back loop double crochets, but until you then do the next foot. So it's quite straightforward really. I'll just leave you to carry on. Okay, so row 17 now. So we're just about halfway through, almost halfway through, doing our hedgehogs now. And this is where the pattern starts to get a little bit more interesting, because we're going to be now starting on the leaves. That will be between the hedgehogs, and also we're going to add our little hedgehog's nose in there now, so you'll get like the idea of the width of the little fella. Right, so I've started with the initial front loop treble, which goes before the main repeat, and we're now going to do another 2 front loop trebles there. So we're starting the repeat with 2 front loop trebles. Then we've got 2 back loop double crochets and 1 front loop treble, and that is the tip of the hedgehog's nose will be there. Okay, so we've now got 9 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and as always, always a great idea to just double check that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Perfect. So then 1 front loop treble, and then we've got 23 back loop double crochets, so that's going to take us well past his back foot. So 1, 21, 22, 23. So now we've got 1 front loop treble, 6 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we end the repeat with 3 front loop trebles. 1, 2, and perfect. The last one is in, there we go, where we've marked our stitch. Oh, so that is that. So now we're going to start the next repeat with 2 more front loop trebles, 2 back loop double crochets, and then 1 front loop treble where the hedgehog's nose starts. So you can just basically carry on along like so. So you'll end with your three trebles, and I will just see you for row 18. Okay, so row 18 now, and I've just started as usual with the little bits and pieces before the main repeat starts. So the repeat is now going to start with 6 back loop double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we've got 8 front loop trebles for his little face. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8. So then we've got 1 back loop double crochet, and we've got 11 front loop trebles. So this is his little sort of chest. 2, 3, 10, 11. I'm just going to double check that is how many I've got. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Beautiful. So now we've got some little square brackets. So for this we're going to repeat 1 back loop double crochet and 3 front loop trebles. So that's all it will repeat. 3, and we're going to do that 3 times. So that was 1, so we now got second back loop double crochet and 1, 2, 3 trebles, then another back loop double crochet and another 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. So now we just end the repeat with 10 back loop double crochets. Okay, so that will then, oops, I never brought my little marker up, but that will then take us, the 10th one will then take us to that marked stitch, and then remember you start the next repeat with 6 more back loop double crochets and do it again. So yeah, you should be okay to carry on, complete that row like so. So where we're doing the little sort of bumpy bits there, let's kind of like give a sort of stylized idea of the little spines on the back of the hedgehog. Okay, so carry on and do that. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to actually take you through any more actually showing you the stitches. What I will do though is come back every couple of rows and just show you a little photo of what it should look like at the end of all of the, I'll come back at the end of all of the, what am I doing now, 18, come back at the end of all the odd numbered, the C3 rows, and just show you what it looks like then. Okay.